today's EdTech Cafe. We are focusing a lot on interaction today. The inspiration was kind of thinking about the holidays, and if you're in a face-to-face classroom, you have these holiday celebrations, you have the relationships that you've been building. So how can we bring this to an online classroom? Or even if you are kind of a hybrid classroom, how to get that into your Blackboard element. So today's agenda, first we're going to look at why is online interaction important in your classroom. Then we're going to look at how we can do it. So we'll use FlipGrid today, and we'll kind of go over the benefits of Blackboard Collaborate as well. If you guys are doing our WebQuest challenge type activity for these EdTech Cafes, your challenges today are first to participate in our EdTech Cafe FlipGrid, and second to create your own FlipGrid. And we'll also go over how to embed that into Blackboard. So first, why is interaction so important? And what do you guys think? What have you experienced, and how do you implement interaction? Anybody?
I think online students want to be as connected as face-to-face. They still want to feel like they're part of a class or a community, and most of them are really good at connecting online. It's usually
I feel like
the instructor who's not.
Yes, and a lot of the time a student's not going to take that online class unless they feel comfortable enough to interact in that way. So it's up to the professor then to facilitate that interaction and give them room. So when we're talking about interaction in an online classroom, there are 4 levels of interaction. First is a passive e-learning. So these are the courses that the information's just there. There's not really a professor, or if there is, you don't actually talk to that professor, it's just grading. The second is limited interactivity. So that's maybe you get some feedback on assignments, but in general, you're kind of just going through the movements. The third is more complex interactivity. In my mind, this is the interactivity level that we are generally going for. This is, we're really discussing the information that we're learning. We're interacting with one another. We're interacting, so as students, student to student, we're interacting student to professor, and interacting student to material. So some of the things that we've gone over, like H5P and different ways to interact with material, could come into this level 3. Level 4 is highly simulated environments. So this is like those really gamified courses, a lot of simulations, which can be fantastic, absolutely, and has its place, but it's not necessarily, every course doesn't need the intensity of, I need to create a simulation for this. You just need to figure out the best way to teach that material. So for active learning, this, I really loved it when I found it. It is the renewed Bloom's digital taxonomy. Ooh. So as educators, we've all seen Bloom's taxonomy, but this is kind of that new version. And I really like this lots to hots, lower order thinking to higher order thinking. So just like the original Bloom's taxonomy, we're looking for that creating level. So about putting elements together, recognizing elements and creating new structures and really interacting with one another and the material. So you guys will get this presentation as well, which has all of the links so that you can look at this more. And the purpose of all this interactivity is to create community of inquiry. Lots of studies have shown that that community of inquiry and being able to really interact with the material and the professor can massively increase how much the student feels like they've learned, which is crucial, especially when you're thinking of your professor ratings and everything. You want your students to feel like they have actually learned rather than, well, I don't know who my professor was yet. So the things that go into this community of inquiry are the sense of community. So that comes into play when you're giving students the time to get to know each other. The teaching presence, so making sure you're giving that feedback and you are part of the class. The quality of cognitive interaction, so rather than just here's a discussion prompt, really diving deeper into what is the discussion prompt, how can we gain more from it. and increasing the deep learning approach. That's really our goal. We want students to feel like they have deeply learned and can incorporate the material into whatever their future is. So let's get to the how. First, we need to really focus on the design, facilitation, and direction. So this is where we as instructional designers come into play, as well as professors. So for design and organization, you need to be sure that your course and all of the assignments have clear expectations, manageable content so that your students are not completely overwhelmed by the 20 chapters of reading they have to do, appropriate activities that apply the knowledge, and aligned assessments. So whether it's a quiz or an applied assessment, make sure that it's aligned to the actual learning objectives. For facilitation, this is where that professor presence comes into play. So when you're thinking about your discussion posts or whatever it is, making sure that the questions are engaging, something the students are interested in and want to engage with. Then you're also going to be guiding these discussions. Rather than just starting the prompt and having students respond to each other, really guide it. You can add some responses, add what you want students to really be talking about. You're also challenging them to test new ideas and modeling appropriate contributions. So when you go into that discussion, show how should your contribution actually look. This also leads into direction. So as you're facilitating and coming up with these great questions, you're also making sure that students are creating meaning with that participation. They are not just, I participated. It's like, what was the point of this? How can you go from exploration to integrating the ideas and then finally to that resolution of this is what we learned and why we learned it. So the first way we can do this is using FlipGrid, which is an asynchronous video tool. So this can be great for discussions, group work, and building that actual learning community, especially because it's beneficial for them to see each other. I feel like I get to know somebody so much better if I actually see them. So we are going to explore FlipGrid. So first we'll go into the student experience. So for everybody watching on YouTube, this is where we'll start the hands-on demonstration. So if you guys would log in and just open an internet browser. For the student experience, if you're watching videos, you can access from anywhere. You can access from a mobile device or a computer. If you're recording a video though, you do need to use either the FlipGrid app or a computer that has a webcam. So I prefer the FlipGrid app. If anybody is comfortable just downloading FlipGrid on your phone, that's a great way to participate. And then when you are starting a FlipGrid, I really like this QR code for if you are doing a hybrid class. You can show this QR code up on your screen when you want your students to join the FlipGrid, and then they can participate easily later. So you can also get to my FlipGrid by going to flipgrid.com/58356. And that's our EdTech Cafe FlipGrid.
So what is it,
8356.
We needed to put something else in front of that, right?
Are you on flipgrid.com?
Yeah. we go
Yeah,
back and do that.
there are no cameras, right?
Yeah, there's not on the
No,
computers,
cameras, no
but
computer.
if anybody has
Just
phones,
doing the info
you can.
part.
Okay, so you
Oh,
can
here we
click
enter
enter a
code.
flip code. Yeah.
Okay.
So then the flip code is 58356.
Got it.
You need an E right there, and then it's 6. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then it will have your students sign in, and when you're on the educator side, you can decide what emails you want to allow access to. So if you want it to only be like at miami.edu, or if you're okay with it being a Gmail. You can also set, if you do decide like it can be any type of email, you can set a password for your FlipGrid so that then even though it's using any type of Gmail, they still have to have that password, so it's still secure. So this is what our student experience looks like. So we're just kind of going to explore. This would be the actual FlipGrid for the class called EdTech Cafe. Then down below, you can see the different topics. Right now I only have one topic in this course, so it's introductions. And then your students get all of the instructions, and you can add however much you want. If you want to do kind of one of those deeper, more analytical discussions, that's possible through this. You just need to make sure you include the instructions. And then down below, they will see their responses. So if you guys are on your phone and want to add a response, this is where you would add it. So on the computer, they'll just click this green button. This computer doesn't have a camera, but typically it will come up with your camera and just permission.
You want me to do one?
Sure, that'd be awesome.
I'll get an iPad.
Okay.
For bed.
You know what, I can just use my phone.
Oh, you can use your phone?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
just do that. I was thinking since they already had an account,
Yeah.
I'll do this instead.
Okay, this is weird. Because I'm like
Let
speaking
me focus
to.
the camera
Byron's
here.
good.
More weird.
Okay.
So they'll hit the
Hi Hannah, I'm really looking forward to this
plus one
workshop,
button.
and I personally want to learn this because I really need to find a way to engage the new generation of our students. Thanks, nice to meet you.
Bravo. So then once a student goes in, and there are responses, they can click on whichever video they're wanting to watch. Oh, sorry. Log in again every time I refresh. So now we have 2 videos. So they can click on a video.
Hi Hannah, I'm really looking.
And what's great is they can reply by video. So I'll just click close on that. But that is that kind of back and forth. So it feels more like an in-class discussion because you are seeing each other. You're seeing those facial expressions and all of the other communication that comes through. So now that we have seen the student side, we're going to move over to the educator side. So typically when you go to flipgrid.com, it'll take you to this info.flipgrid.com. And in there, we are going to look at some of our grid settings, how you can use rubrics, giving feedback to these discussions because that is an important element, guiding discussions, and exporting data. So if you guys will just go to flipgrid.com, if you already have an account, you can just log in that way. Or if you don't, you can create an account. And what you're going to do is add a new grid, which is this red button right there. So you'll name it. And then this is where you can select the grid type. So a school email you get to say what the ending is. So if it's at miami.edu. A student ID, I don't think this is as necessary since we're at the university level. Or you can do public and PLCs. That is where if they have a Gmail account, they could log in. If it was me doing that, I would then select to add a password. So I'll try that one. I'll do public. Then down here, it comes up with an automatic flip code. But if you want, you can change that. And down here where it says available, it will tell you whether or not that flip code is available. Then you'll click next. And this is that add a password option. So I'm going to have it have a password. All right. So it does give me those notes. Anyone with the flip code can join. They do need a Microsoft or Google account to record, and then they'll use your password to be able to get into the FlipGrid. And now my FlipGrid is ready. Okay, how are we? Is everybody at that? Making a profile.
When it says add a co-pilot,
So that is really cool. If you happen to be co-teaching
Uh-huh.
a course, you can add another person that would be at the instructor level. So then you would both be able to like grade and give responses as an instructor.
I think it's also really good for like peer feedback because you can put a student responsible
Yeah.
for providing feedback, like one student per semester for each,
Yeah.
I guess.
That would be really cool. Or I've seen some professors that have done like a certain person, one of the students is in charge of moderating specific discussions throughout the semester.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could add them as a co-pilot for a certain topic
That's right.
that week's discussion. Okay, while we're here, since we have this awesome sharing section, I'm just gonna go over how to embed this into your Blackboard course, because that is where it's really beneficial. So to embed it, you will click copy embed code. There are also other ways to share it, but we all use Blackboard. So that's how I've embedded before. So you'll click copy embed code. Then in your course, this is what it ends up looking like. But you can either go into an item that you already have built in your course, or you can build an item. So I'm gonna name it Ed. Then to get to the embedding part, you're gonna click on HTML, and you just have to paste it right in there and click update. Then click submit. And there it is right below. So the student can actually just start participating right from there. You don't have to link them somewhere else, which I think is really convenient.
Or give a code, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to give the code. I think the giving the code probably works the best in like a hybrid course where you can give the code face to face, see that they're all on, and then move into the virtual FlipGrid. But this is the way that I would do it if it's just an online course. So once you have created your grid, I like to think of the grid as your classroom. So for that class, you only need one grid, and then you can make new topics, which are similar to discussion boards in Blackboard. So the automatic first topic is this Say Hello on FlipGrid, and if at any point you want to edit a topic, you can just click the pencil, or we'll add a new topic. You can set your recording time, which is helpful because it tells the students kind of how much they're expected to talk and prepare. So this is our little introduction. We've got what is your favorite animal and why. You can add a focus. This can be really helpful if you're going into a more in-depth discussion because you can add files, you can add links to different places, you could add a YouTube video, or they have, images and things that you can add. So I'll click Create Topic. Then here is another place that's giving you an embed code. So the one that we created before will take them to your entire FlipGrid. So if they sign in there, they'll see, okay, here's our classroom's FlipGrid and all of the topics. Since you're in a topic right here, if you click that embed code and paste it in, it will take them directly just to that topic.
Cool.
So in your week, you can just take them directly to, this is the week 1 discussion. Okay, do you guys want me to pause for a second so you can make your FlipGrids, or are we good to go? Keep looking.
Good.
You're good? Okay. So, in a discussion, I'm going to go back to my grids. This is a grid that I've used in my multimedia design and publication course. So if you want to view the topic as a student, you'll click view. But if you're wanting to view it as a teacher so that you can grade and give those responses, you'll click the actual name of the topic. So this is where you can then edit the topic if you want to. You can see your students' videos and you can give feedback. So I'm gonna go into Gabby's video.
Hi, my name is.
So if you want here, you can do video feedback that would only be viewable by Gabby. So that's one option. The other option is to click reply, and this will just add your video to the whole discussion board. So this option is really great when you're trying to facilitate and guide the discussion. If you're wanting other people to notice and respond maybe even to your video, you can reply here. But if it is that more of grading feedback, you'll want to make sure you do just to the student. Then you can have a rubric in your discussion. So this already has like they come with like an automatic rubric. So that would be on ideas and performance. Or you can edit the rubric for this custom feedback and add criteria. So I have IEP in mind, creating a rubric based on the assignment. You can also just do comments. So there's lots of ways to provide your students feedback through FlipGrid. Any questions on like this feedback part?
That's good.
Okay. You can also click feature response. That's another way to kind of guide the discussion. If you feature it, it will show the other students that this is a great response that you should look at. Or you can spark video. That makes it so that this video becomes a new topic. So if some student comes up with like a fantastic response that you really want more people to go talk about, I would spark it. So that now it's a new topic, you can then embed it back into Blackboard so that they see and go back to it. And then this mixtapes is like just a smorgasbord of the best responses. So that can be a fun tool to use as well. This Leave a Vibe adds I'll show you on the student view. It adds a vibe that then all the students can see. So for her, she did a video even while she was camping. So I added a vibe, hashtag dedication.
Ooh. But you add them or they add them?
The professor adds them. Yep, so the professor's the only one that has access to that part.
Okay.
Then another really helpful thing for grading elements is this export data. So it comes up as a CSV, which is just like an Excel spreadsheet, and it will tell you what grid they were on, the topic, all their information, as long as their video length. So that can be really helpful. If you're just wanting to quickly check for participation, you can run that against your class list.
Can you show me again what you clicked on to get that?
Yeah.
That part I missed.
This export data.
Ah, got it, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And export data, they have it on the whole FlipGrid, so you can see the general information, and then this, I'm in the topic introductions, so I can click export data in here and it gives me those very specific, these are the people who have participated. And then there is that add a co-pilot that we had talked about right here. And then you can, if you want to embed it later, you can always click this share button to get to that embed code. And I believe, yep, that was all for FlipGrid that I wanted to talk about. Do you guys have questions about FlipGrid? Okay. Have you used it, Lauren?
I have not, just because
Okay.
we have to use it with higher level like proficiency students.
Okay, because I know that some of
But I'm
the
gonna
other
use it this
IEP
upcoming
teachers
semester
have. That's
in the
why I was.
spring. Yeah, so we use it with like our level 4s and higher.
Okay, cool. So if this multimedia design, I did lock it just with the password. So I gave my students the password, and then they can click let's go to get into it. And this is how those vibes end up looking. And then because I did a video response that everybody can see, my icon shows up there as well.
You can, what do you mean by you can lock it?
So that was in this grid details.
Why would you lock it?
I would use that if you chose the part that they can do any email, like any Gmail or Microsoft email. I would then do that so that a stranger didn't accidentally get into it. But it is only embedded there. It's not like they can just go into FlipGrid and get into anything. It would have to be kind of like by chance that they stumbled upon your grid. And if you're doing the miami.edu, I wouldn't lock it at that point.
Okay.
But this, I did the Gmail account.
Okay.
Okay, so FlipGrid is that asynchronous interaction. When it comes to synchronous interaction, my favorite way to do this is Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. So the synchronous interaction is really beneficial for when you're going into those deeper, more difficult to understand topics. Because you can have that in-depth explanation, your students can ask you questions in real time, you can give the challenging material, and kind of that active discussion, and it is just another way to build the learning community. I have this user interface tour. Will you give me a thumbs up if you would like to see kind of, it's only a 2-minute video, it has the basics of Blackboard Collaborate, or a thumbs down if you are very comfortable with Blackboard Collaborate. I thought it was helpful.
Blackboard Collaborate with the Ultra experience
hear it okay?
is a real-time video conferencing tool that lets you add files, share applications, and use a virtual whiteboard to interact. Let's take a quick tour. You will find the session menu on the left, the Collaborate panel on the right, and audio and video controls at the bottom. First, let's take a look at the session menu. Here, you will find the information to call in on your phone, resources to learn more about using Collaborate, and the option to leave the session. If you are a moderator, you will also have the ability to start and stop session recordings from this menu. Next, let's take a look at the Collaborate panel. Open the My Settings panel to add your profile picture, complete your audio and video setup, and adjust your notification settings. If you are a moderator, you can control session settings by allowing or revoking attendee permissions. On the chat panel, you can chat with everyone in the session, or you can send a private message to another attendee. Additionally, moderators have a dedicated private channel. Next, access the Attendees panel to see who has joined the session. You can detach the Attendees panel to keep it visible at all times. From the Attendee Controls menu, you can send a private message. Additionally, moderators can promote attendees to moderator, presenter, or captioner, mute the attendee, or remove the attendee from the session.
That part can be really helpful. A lot of the time, if you're starting a discussion or presentation, it can be helpful to keep everybody just as attendees, but then if someone has something to present, add them as a presenter. Or if you're in more of the Q&A, you really want the intense involvement, you can keep everybody as presenters. That way they can draw on the whiteboard that you pull up, or can just talk at any time to ask questions.
I didn't know you could attach that. That's pretty cool.
I know, isn't that cool? When I found this video, I was like, this is perfect. It's much faster than I could go.
I learn something every time I go in there.
Yeah.
From the More Options menu at the top of the list, the moderator can mute all attendees. And finally, on the Share Content panel, moderators and presenters can share a whiteboard, application, or screen, and share files. Additionally, moderators can conduct a poll or start breakout groups. When you share content, it will appear in the media space. And finally, at the bottom of the screen, you can set your status, share feedback, toggle your audio and video, and raise your hand. And that's it. You're ready to jump in and start collaborating.
Can you open a Collaborate session for me real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not putting you on the spot. I want to see something.
That's okay.
Okay.
I had a link already ready for it. There isn't, okay, yes, it's working.
Click the share screen.
Oh, it's because I came in as a guest. Okay, let me go into it as from the other side. What did you want to see?
Just share screen.
Okay, so I like that then you can choose an application or window. I have 2 screens, which has been helpful when I'm hosting Blackboard Collaborate sessions, because if it's like a slideshow that I'm sharing, I can just make it so that it's sharing that app. I don't know what it will do since I'm the one.
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to avoid.
Yes, it always happens, Rick. Every single time I have a session.
It has?
Yes,
That's because you're sharing a screen of the, you're sharing the screen of the screen. And
So-
you just keep doing it ad infinitum.
So what do we need to do? Because
Well-
every time I conduct
That's
a-
never happened to me.
To me, so I've been doing live sessions with my online course, and every single time, that's the first thing.
Yeah, so I usually have another tab open that that's all I want to show them. It's just, everyone suffers that first, okay, share screen,
Yes.
Zoom, and then I try and get out as fast as I can.
Have you tried doing application window and then selecting it? Because that's what I've done.
Well, sometimes, like when I was teaching the Chilean students,
Yeah.
I needed to show them
How
how
to get
Blackboard
there.
worked. So I opened the share screen to show them Blackboard, and it went to that. I'm like, I can't show you anything with this. So
Yeah.
that's when I opened the second one and had to do it over there. So I was just wondering if there's something I'm missing to avoid that. Well, obviously not, because everyone seems to be suffering it. So this is a Blackboard question. We need to ask them
Probably.
Yeah,
how
okay.
not to have that happen.
I'll take a screenshot. So then.
I think if, when I've done application window, like I already just have the app up, so then it shows like, right now it's only showing this, because this is the only app, but it then would show like the PowerPoint one right next to it.
Oh, yeah.
So I just
got
click
that.
on
It's
that,
just
and
there
it
are
goes
times where-
immediately there.
Yeah,
But
but if
yeah.
I need to show Blackboard, that's my issue.
I think this one might work too, it just share Chrome tab.
See,
Nope.
it doesn't happen. Yeah, so I think.
It's like maybe, or maybe not.
This has been happening since this came into being, since
Yeah,
this
I've
tool
never
was
dealt
born.
with this before.
Really?
Yes.
And I'm wondering if we're missing something or something we're supposed to, a box we're supposed to check to keep it from happening. I didn't know if anybody had come across this, obviously they have, so
I have not.
maybe we need to submit a ticket and say, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'll open it.
Probably.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Well, just a quick look, on the forums, this has been an issue apparently since 2016.
So it is an
Right.
issue that they haven't.
People
fixed.
ask the question like, why do we have this tunneling effect on
Uh-huh.
the screen? And they're like, nobody seems to be able to fix it.
Okay.
So I'll keep looking.
Weird.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
when you have 2 mirrors, same thing.
Yeah, it never fails.
So if, in my experience, these synchronous sessions can be a great way to get that real kind of classroom interaction. I host these, there's a ton of different ways to use this tool. I've been doing office hours though, so every Thursday evening I log in and any student that has questions can come in. I've also done like required sessions if it's a more, like last week the week before it needed to be like a true discussion about the material, so it was a required class session. You can also start a Blackboard Collaborate session that's just open if you want to do that you can tell your students about, so that if they can email each other like, oh, we need to meet about this group project, and they can just go on whenever they decide to. So there's a ton of different ways to use Blackboard Collaborate.
Right, and
They
you
did a
know
great
what?
job.
It actually becomes a routine on their part.
Yeah.
They look for it. So I guess, again, that's saying to what you mentioned earlier, you establish a strong
Yeah.
online presence by doing that. Because they would make a follow-up.
Yes.
And even ask for extra sessions if needed.
Yeah, exactly. So that was our why and how. For what's next, in January, we'll be sending out our new EdTech Cafe sessions. And at any time, you guys can always schedule a consultation with us if it's about your specific course, or if you want to learn more about one of the tools that we've shared or another tool that you found and you want us to look at. We are always happy to help. So, thanks.